Hello there. Let's briefly talk about what it means to actually acknowledge your emotions in order to get rid or reduce your chronic pain. So, a lot of the time when I work with people who are suffering from chronic pain or chronic illness, I help them to understand that a lot of the time the underlying cause of the whatever they're feeling or going through is actually emotions even. And what do I mean by that? I mean that basically your unconscious mind knows everything about you, right? It knows where you're going. It knows where you've been. It has the blueprint of the best version of yourself. So everything, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, it knows what you need to do and where you need to go in order to restore yourself to your perfect version. Now the problem is that the unconscious mind is trying to give you directions of where to go and what to do. But as soon as it gives you that message, your negative self talk comes up and says, well, actually, we're not doing that because I have all of these fears and doubts that I need you to acknowledge. So, for example, if I'm thinking to myself, I want to start walking every day, do a mile, walking for 1 mile a day, then, that's something maybe my unconscious mind is giving me this message. And I know it's from the unconscious mind because I'm excited about it. There's some energy in that message. But then my negative voice is going to come up and says, well, when are you going to do this? You have this huge busy day. It's really cold outside. So maybe you're going to get a cold, or maybe you're going to, meet someone in like a dangerous situation. Whatever the lie is, the negative voice is going to come up and give me really scary possibilities for which I would say, actually, do you know what? It was not a good idea. So here we have the unconscious mind with a really good, positive, energetic message, and it knows that if I do this, it will help my overall balance and happiness in life. And then I have my negative voice that comes up and says, "Don't do it." And now I have a problem because I am not listening to the right voice. I should listen to the unconscious mind that knows everything about me. And instead, I'm listening to the negative voice that is loud and it is very scary. And it's basically telling me I have to do something. And because it is such a good liar, I say, yes, I'm going to listen to that. Now, the point is that we constantly miss out these messages that the unconscious mind is giving us. And these messages are received, like I said, with some energy, and this energy is emotion. It's emotion that we need to follow. Now this is maybe messages with exciting messages, but also it happens in the same way when it's negative emotions. So we are going through an emotional event that gets whatever emotion. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's sadness, maybe it's sorrow, maybe it's heartache, whatever the emotion is. And we say, do you know what? I'm okay. I'm not going to deal with it right now. So again, instead of leaning into the emotions and being able to process it and go through whatever event we're going through, we're listening to the other voice that says, you've been sad for too long, or everyone is looking at you, don't show your emotions, or whatever the messages are. We end up doing something that is out of alignment to what we actually want to do. So again, we have this disagreement. It's the basically this is the disease. It's the situation when we're listening to the wrong voice. Now, when we have so many emotions and traumas and rage and stuff that we're not processing, this is now showing up in our body. And of course, the actual organ or gland where we have the problem can help us understand even more the kind of messages that we've missed, the messages from the unconscious mind. But basically, what we want to say is now our body is completely out of alignment. And there are all these trapped emotions and misalignments that are making everything so heavy and painful and impossible to go through. So the point is that when I work with people with chronic pain, although the pain is real, the pain is 100% real, and it is so painful, and it is actually, it's incredibly hard to live a life with pain, because when you're suffering from pain, you don't care about anything else. You just want the pain to go away, and all of your attention and all of your energy is in the pain. I get it. I had my own chronic pain for a while, but now I'm saying to you, okay, when you get the pain, now you need to say not what is structurally wrong in my body. How is my, maybe, I don't know, every person that has chronic pain, so like back pain, for example, has the specific discs that are wrong or that are out of alignment. But I want to say, When you're suffering from chronic pain, the most important question you can ask yourself is, what is going on in my life emotionally? And a lot of the time, because we are so not used to processing our emotions, we are so good at brushing things away and to bottling things up. We say, well, there's nothing, going on in my life, nothing that justifies this pain. And then we have a conversation and we realize that somewhere under the surface, there are something, some emotions, some pain, some fears, some frustrations that you are not acknowledging. So the chronic pain is a pain that is lasting for probably more than 3 months, and that is longer than what it normally takes your tissues to heal. And so how come it's not healing? Basically, more likely is the tissues have healed, but there is something that is, underneath all of that. And yes, if you want to believe that your body is like a machine and you will go to have surgeries and, fill your life with painkillers and stuff like that. But if you are willing to consider that emotions play a huge part in the conditionings and the symptoms and the pain that you're going through, then you're basically giving yourself a gift of finding the cause and the reasoning and doing something in a way that is more affordable, and actually it's all in your control. So what I'm trying to say is, when I work with my clients, I work in two different ways. One is the healing conversations, like the coaching conversations, and the other one is the energy healing. And so with the energy healing, I connect to your subconscious mind and I start finding all of the trapped emotions that are basically pressing on your glands and organs and causing discomforts and pain in your body. So this is one thing, and I can do that. Of course, it's very, very helpful. But what I'm trying to say is that when you combine this with the conversations, you're also able to make sure that this is not going to happen again, because you're learning to process the emotions and to see how you can just acknowledge them. Sometimes when I work with people on the energy healing, I find emotions, for example, I don't know, anger from, when they were 15 or whatever. And so they say, well, yes, I remember that, but it wasn't, it was okay. It wasn't such a big deal. Why is it a trapped emotion now? And this is exactly the point, because consciously we brush things off, but unconsciously or subconsciously, the subconscious mind is saying, hey, this was a huge thing. You need to pay more attention to this. You need to understand that what was going on here was, unjust, or that you're feeling, pain, or that you're feeling, rage around that. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that chronic pain has more than just one layer. It's not just about the physical element of what is hurting me. It's also about the emotions that are making it up, emotions that are buried or trapped in that organ or gland or whatever it is. And the other thing is that people say, okay, so now we're starting to now we're going to start looking at the emotions, we're going to start processing them. How do I do that? A lot of people don't actually know how to process their emotions. And that's fair, because really, as society, we're not actually given even the credit to the allowance to acknowledge our emotions. People say, right, boys don't cry, or don't be such a wuss, or whatever the word is. And so we don't show it, we don't acknowledge it, we don't process it. So the first thing to do when you're feeling your pain, right? Because especially with chronic pain, you know that the pain goes up and down. Sometimes it manifests itself in different parts of the body. So ask yourself, okay, if I am looking at the pain as a barometer of, that there is something that is emotionally triggering, then I can say, okay, so what's been going on in my life recently that is bringing this up or out? Maybe there's frustration at work. Maybe there's fear about, money and about, whatever is economics that is happening in the world. Maybe there's problems with the children. Maybe it's the health of, a loved one. Whatever it is, there is always something underneath the surface. So then you bring it out. You start talking about, you start thinking about it. The best thing to do actually is to journal about it. And what I mean by journaling, you can write it down, or you can look at yourself in the mirror and scream or talk to yourself. Every person has their own way. But when I'll call it journaling still, and the idea is to go there and say, get to the point of the pain and be really as shouty and as angry and as blamey as you can, because this is helping to bring the emotions out. So if I have something, and my biggest pain, say something from when I was 4-year-old, so I will go there and I will be as annoyed and angry as maybe my parents or my teachers or society, whoever it is, and I'll allow myself to go back into that child that was suffering all of these things and didn't know how to process it or how to even bring it out into the surface. So I would say things like, and why the hell you didn't look after me? You abandoned me. You didn't allow me to feel needed or loved or whatever it is. But you really go to the point. And when you start being very angry about the situation that you were at, you start releasing. Now, of course, later on, when you finish writing or you finish shouting, you can go back, into the adult mind and say, well, of course I understand, because no one is perfect, and my parents didn't do anything on purpose, and it's all part actually of the bigger scheme of things. And I needed to, that thing to happen so that I can become who I am today. So as an adult, we look at things differently than when we do as children. But the pain is still locked in the child level. Now, I'm not saying that we always only have childhood trauma, but I am saying, I'm giving an example that a lot of the time the chronic pain actually comes from childhood pain and trauma that we were not able to process. And every pain and trauma and stress that is coming to us as adults is basically just an add-on to everything that we are already bottling up. So journaling is really important. So when you journal, you go to town into the hurt and the anger and the stress and the frustration that you're feeling, and then afterwards burn it up or delete it, or do whatever you need to do. Don't show it to people because it's not meant for them. This is just meant for you as a release mechanism. So really make sure that you don't show it to anyone. Now, the other thing is really to start looking at your life. Some people come to me and they say, well, my life is pretty perfect. I'm healthy, or I eat healthily. I'm very happy with my career choice, and I have a beautiful relationship with someone. And, they can say that. And that's wonderful, but this is still just the surface level. And now we say, okay, what is underneath? Again, what is the emotion? What is the stress? What is the rage that you're actually experiencing? And you're not even allowing yourself to bring it out. The only thing that you're experiencing is the pain. And now we start looking at toxicity in your life. Maybe it's the news. Maybe it's, someone at your work. Maybe it's, something, whatever it is, find a way to understand, to acknowledge what it is, and then remove it from your life. Because as long as it is there, you're going to keep experiencing it. Now, of course, sometimes you say, well, it's the relationship with my family. Every time I see my family, I go nuts. Fine. So then you need to ask yourself, do I really need to go in to have a contact with them? And if I do, how can I change the relationship? Remember that a lot of the time, even if you change one thing, the results that you get change. So one thing can be, well, I'm going to, you might tell me that every time that you go and see your parents, your family, someone is always, yep, at the back of your mind or the back of your head. and that makes you really angry. Okay, so maybe you can go there and decide for yourself that actually this time you're not giving it the time of day, and you know that they're going to say it. So whatever they say, yes, you're right. After some time, when they see that there's no audience, they will stop. Whatever it is, I can't tell you specifically. Obviously, this is a very generic kind of video, but you will be able to find a way to take the sting out of whatever is annoying you. And if you not sure how to do this, then please do get in touch. I'll be more than happy to have a conversation with you. I'm very happy to have a complimentary consultation to see about your own specific needs. What is going on in your life? What is happening? How can we change this? How can we understand what is actually causing the pain to continue and to repeat itself? Now, what is actually chronic pain? People hear that, of course, but they don't necessarily understand it. So chronic pain can be anything, really. I mean, repeated back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, buttocks pain, maybe repeated headaches, maybe IBS, chronic fatigue. There's so many different things. As long as your pain has been there for longer than 3 months and the intensity levels are changing and maybe the location in the body is changing, there is something to say that actually a good idea to examine the emotions and the trapped emotion and the repressed anger and rage that is causing all of this. Now, in my walk with people, like I said before, I walk with people either just with the energy healing, which is the body code and emotion codes, or I do a combination of energy healing with healing conversations. I do it either as a one-on-one or very soon in January, 10th of January 2022, 23 even, I'm going to start the new healing group. And that's a very small group, 5 people, each bringing to the table, whatever their story is. And then we talk about it and we find ways to understand the negative voice, the fears, the rage, all of that. And then we also do one-on-one energy healing. Anyway, this is probably not exactly the place to tell you about the healing group, but if it sounds interesting for you, then let me know. This group is aimed to start every 3 months, and really it is a wonderful opportunity and possibility to release the pain, release the emotional baggages that are locked inside of you. So I hope you found it interesting. If you did, please like, subscribe, make a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to like I said, book a complimentary consultation, because as soon as you start talking, things starting to release, and that's what we want. Thank you so much for listening and for being here today. My name is Zainab Avni, Untangled Healing, and I hope to have a private conversation with you really soon. Have a wonderful, pain-free day.